Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. I am your host, Viz, and today we are joined by the stars of The Loneliest Boy in the World, Max Harwood and hero Fiennes Tiffin. Guys, welcome to the show. How are both of you doing?
Really good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh,
Yeah, man. Happy to be here.
it is my pleasure. First off, I saw the film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a great mixture of horror, comedy, drama, and a little bit of horror, perfectly mixed together. So, Max, let's start with you. Oliver is the guy the audience is going to really feel sorry for. He's lonely, just like the title states. How did you interpret your character when you first were approached with it?
I think that the film came around in a time when I probably was spending quite a lot of time on my own in my bedroom during the pandemic. So I actually think that it was like a perfect time for me to do the role. Um, I My approach really was like watching lots of like 80s movies, lots of Winona Ryder and Johnny Depp and Edward Scissorhands. In terms of like performance referencing. But yeah, I just my main thing is watching things, consuming things, shaking them up, throwing them away, and then meeting the other actors on the set with a script when we get there, because lots of stuff changes in between that. But yeah, that was mainly what I did.
Now, hero Mitch is the complete opposite of Oliver. After what Oliver does, we don't want to give away any spoilers. Do you think Mitch feels like he owes Oliver something?
It's interesting. I don't on one deeper level maybe, but I don't think I approached the role with that in mind. I think when you're dead, you have nothing to lose. So if you were just like a teenager who's just going about his business, having a good time, and he had loads of friends, and there's more stuff that I know about him, but trying to only kind of share what's in the film about his backstory, I feel like he's just kind of happy to be back here on Earth, given a second chance. And I think you're right, actually. There, in some level, I think he knows that he now exists within this person's world, and therefore there is an element of him kind of owing it towards Oliver, but not in like a sense of debt, more in
Yeah.
in a sense of, if you're a best friend of someone,
Mhm.
you naturally are going to do everything in your power to make their life a better, happier place. So in
And,
that
and
sense, yeah.
and we get to learn a lot about Mitch as a character, and he just really is a genuinely nice guy deep down inside. Max, this film is sort of filmed in like an alternate reality type of way. What is it inside Oliver that gives him the family that he has long been craving for? Is it just the sheer power of will? Is it just a powerful imagination? How do you describe it?
I think it's a mixture of his influences in watching TV, a mixture of his trauma that propels him forward to be resilient. And I would ultimately say it's his innate ability to listen and learn. And he's a kind of, you know, if someone tells him that it's okay to do something, he's going to do it. He's going to listen to them. And I think that, that is the main crux of why he ends up discovering his new family, because his social worker says, yeah, go drag him home. And he says,
Uh,
oh, okay. All right then.
Absolutely. And I love the little, back and forth between the social worker and the doctor, even making the bet on if he's going to make it or not. I thought that was a great element. Now, hero Mitch, your character goes through a lot of physical changes, decomposition, basically. Let's not beat around the bush. As the story progresses, was it filmed in chronological order to make it easier for you and the rest of them to, go through this phase and then that phase and then the later phases, or was it shot out of sequence?
It was shot out of sequence. It
Oh,
was, but Martin, the director, was great at reminding us and informing us of kind of where we're at and at what stage. And I feel like, do you know what? Usually, you don't have anything that indicates how far along we are. So we'll be there and think, oh, my left forearm's gone. We've got to be around this mark in the film. So we were kind of gauging where we're at by how much of my body was intact. But I have to say, man, it was such a fun kind of time to be able to embody a character like that and be putting those prosthetics on, because I'm always surprised by how much costume really does transform you and set as well. But when you're in costume that's that drastic and you look in the mirror and it looks that convincing, even centimeters away, let alone through a lens with VFX, like even in real life, it's also quite fun when you're kind of offset or walking to and from set and you just like tap someone on the shoulder and they spin around. I had a lot of fun wearing that character. So yeah,
I
man.
call it the Invisible Man outfit, the Invisible Man, all bandaged up.
Yeah.
Now, Max, there are a lot of comedic elements in this film. Perfectly timed, makes the movie very funny. It seems like everyone there had a blast shooting this film. And listening to you guys talk right now, it sounds like you guys had a lot of fun. How would you describe the on-set atmosphere?
I think it was like we all were like so raring and ready to go and throw ourselves in for it. So I think the element of like being on set, lots of it was actually very excitement and wanting to do and wanting to help and wanting to tell stories. So we just had such a blast, and we were all living together as well. So we, enjoyed, a game or two in the evenings with each other, and a drink and dinner at the weekends, and piano playing in the all of football, all sorts of stuff that ended up going on, not for me, but for Hero, all that ended up going on in the house in Wales and stuff. So we had literally the best time, and we got to take our fun and our relationships from the house that we were all in to our weird, wonderful, crazy, loneliest boy in the world house. So it was really fun.
That does sound like a lot of fun. Now, Hero, in your opinion, what is it about Mitch that makes Oliver choose your character to become friends with, for lack of a better term?
I think, do you know what? I think there's a pretty kind of just on the nose, literal answer for that. And I think it's when he overhears Mitch's mum say how he had so many friends and he was just such a good friend to everyone. And it's almost like a bit of a light bulb moment where you kind of, we almost as an audience go, oh, don't do what I think you're going to, do you know what I mean? Don't. So I think it is that. I think once he's aware that someone who's kind of was so kind and considerate to his peers and was just a happy-go-lucky kid who just wanted to have a good time and was kind of nice to everyone and exuded that energy, I think that's kind of what made Oliver go, do you know what? And then there's also some really funny, literal lines that Oliver takes too literally that kind of leads him to the first place. So yeah.
Now, Hero, playing polar opposite characters with you and Max, besides the on-set fun and becoming friends on set, did you guys within that have a lot of fun just being completely polar opposites? You giving Oliver dating advice, and and he's nervous going on a date. He's like, what do I do? What do I say? How did that go?
Yeah, man. I think it's I think the characters, the script's obviously been. I'm so glad that we were so lucky to be a part of getting this made, because the characters are so well rounded and different and interesting to watch when you put them in the same melting pot. We had great fun doing that. It's actually funny. You've just reminded me of my first 2 weeks on set. I didn't say a word. It was all my playing dead scenes. So it was a blessing and a curse, because for a while I was like turning up like this is work, and they're just like action, and I just literally do nothing, like playing dead. Was
me
what
literally just speaking to him like all those monologues.
Which was great at first, because I was like, he does all the hard work, I just turn up. And then it got to a point where I actually had to say something, and I started bricking it and kind of forgot how to act. But no, working opposite Max, that all came straight right back out. And yeah, no, we had I loved how different our characters were. There was a lot of weapons to play with there.
That's awesome. My time is almost up, but Max, I want to leave the final question for you. For you, what is the main, because this has a very serious elements to it, and the main theme and undertone of the film: loneliness, trauma as a child, losing a parent. For you, what is the main takeaway theme of this story?
I hope that we can just bring a little bit of light to those darker moments in people's lives, and people can maybe be very entertained and also see themselves in some of the characters, whether you have a friend that's going through something, or whether you're the friend that's going through something. It's sort of a message of you will find your way through it, hopefully.
Absolutely. Again, I want to thank you guys. Max Harwood, Hero Fiennes Tiffin. The movie's called The Loneliest Boy in the World. It's coming out in theaters October 14th, coming out on video on demand very soon after on October 18th. I want to thank the both of you for coming on here and sharing those amazing stories. guys, check out this film. You're going to love it. It has a little bit of everything. Thank you guys again, and stay walking. Bye, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. This is Viz from Dead Talk Live, and now we are being joined by the director of The Loneliest Boy in the World, Martin Owen. Again, the film premieres October 14th in theaters, and then coming out on video on demand October 18th. Martin, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Nice to meet you, John. I'm good. Yeah. Have you spoken to any of the actors on this
I
film,
just
John?
got off with Max and Hero, and it was a lot of fun talking to them.
They're awful. The pair of them, aren't they? Terrible. Awful human beings.
Well, they're pretty good. Then they're definitely damn good actors because they pulled off a good one.
Yeah, they're good guys. Yeah, good guys.
So, Martin, a lot of your prior work as a director was work that you had written. What is it like going to direct something that you did not write? It was not your concept. What's the difference approaching directing that way as opposed to doing something that came out of your own brain and you created?
I think when it's just yourself, when you've written it, you know, there's the kind of the responsibility and the pressure is to yourself, is to do your own work justice, which you're always going to, because you're always going to kind of relate back to the original kernel of an idea that you had when you conceived it. But when it's somebody else's, it's it feels like more pressure to kind of do that script justice and do these people justice. And like when I first read it, I was like, oh my God, I love this script, and I really want to make it. And then I loved that it had this kind of authentic 80s feel.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously I found out that it was written in the 80s, and that this film had been, you know, kind of with one studio, and it had been optioned, and another one, and it had come to sort of almost being made 3 or 4 times. So that just then upped the pressure on me of being like, oh God, like if I need to really kind of like do these guys' work justice, you know. So it's definitely, I think, more pressure because you've got that extra thing of wanting to do other people proud, not just yourself.
Absolutely. As I told Max and Hero just a few minutes ago, the film has this alternate reality, like parallel universe, for lack of a better term, feel to it. What was your inspiration for shooting the film in that way? To give you an example, the pool scene with the mom, if you look at the background, and that's a good example right there.
Yeah. I think it's this, I kind of wanted to achieve and maintain this kind of like heightened reality, almost kind of like horror fairy tale within Oliver's world. So like inside the house, the garden, anything kind of in that definitive area of Oliver's world that like is very much, you know, like you said, it's this very colorful, heightened fantasy reality. But yet I wanted to make sure it was consistent as well. So like the majority of the kind of really weird nonsense that happens in the film happens in the house and around the house and in the garden, you know. Apart from the cemetery, obviously, that's pretty weird when he does that. But, yeah, that's pretty weird. Yeah, but that was the idea. The idea that it was just consistent, because it's Oliver's safe space. It's this space that I think the whole film is. I guess it's from Oliver's perspective, isn't it? So it's kind of like I very much wanted the audience to see his immediate world in the way that he did. That was the plan.
And we get a really deep look into what's going on in his brain and his emotions as well. Now, Max and Hero could have, based on physical appearance, because it could have easily swapped characters and one picked for the other. What was it in Max that said, that is my Oliver?
What was it? at the time I hadn't obviously seen Max's first movie. You know, everybody's talking about Jamie. I hadn't seen that, but when we started looking at actors, there was just something about his face. At first, it was like, oh man, his kid's got such a good, striking face. You know, he's like, it's almost like he's kind of like beautiful, isn't he? You know, like he has this amazing face. And then I spoke to him, and he's just like such a character, as you just probably found out. He's just like, he's a great vibe. Max is just a really great vibe. So it's kind of like taking somebody like that and taking them into this, going on this quite dark journey, this story of someone, you know, someone who's kind of gone through loss and is mourning, you know, the death of their mother. It just kind of, to me, was like, oh, that's an interesting take. And then as soon as I started speaking to him about it in depth, I kind of realized, you know, that Max's performance would be just layered with really interesting, nuanced things that would make Oliver a very interesting protagonist, I think, you know.
Yeah.
And then with Hero, it was like, again, I hadn't come across Hero, and because I hadn't watched his after movies. You know, I don't think I'm the audience for those movies. So, yeah. But then it was the same thing. It's like I saw him, thought he's got his. For me, it's all like, does an actor's face? First thing is, does their face fit the feel I have for the character? So it's not necessarily. I never look for a specific physical thing. It's just like, does their face make me in here go, oh yeah? And that was kind of the same with Max, the same with Hero. And then I spoke to Hero, and he was just, it's just the nicest guy, you know. Is that Max? They're just the nicest set of guys, the nicest pair of guys, and just are both super talented, like crazy talented. And I think that in this film, you see a performance from both of them that you've not seen before. It's totally like, oh, that's that dude. Oh, that's that dude. You know, like what? You know?
I totally agree.
You know, who knew that Hero was funny? You know,
exactly. Yeah, and I think it was a great pick. Max for Oliver and Hero for Mitch. Now, this is a very, you know, the undertone of the story, trauma from a child coming in adulthood, loneliness. It's a serious story. Was it a challenge to introduce the comedic elements? And it was done so beautifully, and the timing was perfect. It was very funny. Did that present a challenge for you?
Not really, because it was kind of, it was all about the, you know, I'm a big believer that as a director, you're not there to say to, this is, look, everyone approaches directing differently, and my approach isn't right. I want you to do this like this, move like this, say it like that. You know, I believe that you pick the right actors who are equipped with the right tools for the project. And in this film, it was picking actors who we felt could really handle that kind of nuance of the comedy within quite a dark movie. And I think that we were successful in doing that. And it's down to the performances of the actors. It's not down to me. I'm just there, you know, sat behind a monitor laughing like everyone else. You know, it's really, I have to say, the comedy, you know, from all of the cast, it really came from them. You know, they did it so well, and I really approached the movie as, in a way, not concentrating on the decomposing bodies and all that. It was more like approaching it as a story, a straight story about a young kid who's experiencing grief.
Exactly. Now, everybody, when they reads a script and they're reading a character, you have your own imagination of what that character, age, look, personality. When you first read Oliver, was Max exactly how you envisioned Oliver?
Yeah, I think so. I was kind of, I read it, and Oliver was really, for me, it's like the characters are more of a feeling than a physicality. So it's more of like, I knew how I wanted to feel when I saw an actor read the lines of Oliver and tape for Oliver, and it was really Max just straight away. I was just like, oh, like I just think he's so interesting on screen, and there's a real depth and nuance to his performance. And, you know, he really cares, Max, and he really wants to do the very best job he can do for an audience, you know. And I think that he just straight away, there was no doubt. I mean, literally, there was no doubt. And I remember seeing him, it was amazing. And then speaking to Matt Williams, the producer, and Matt was the same thing. Matt was just like, oh, he's amazing. He's perfect. You know, he's just Max is like a super unique dude. You know, that's what I like about him.
Yeah. Now, we literally have 1 minute left, but I definitely want to ask you this question. The audience is going to leave the theater as I did when I was done watching this film, saying, did this really happen, or was this all in Oliver's head? Is that what
Yeah.
you were going for, to leave people questioning?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The idea was to come away and sort of like, if you like, because it's a story about this kid dealing with grief, it's like I wanted to leave the audience with that question and kind of make their own mind up of like, no, you 100% saw happen, it was fantastic when it happened, or that we were in, you know, with Oliver in Oliver's mind the whole time. But, you know, I hope it isn't, and I never intended for it to be, it was all a dream, and, you know, Oliver wakes up in the shower at the end of the film. That was never my intention. It was just a takeaway at the end of the film, something to think about, I think.
Martin, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your thoughts. Again, guys, the movie is called The Loneliest Boy in the World, coming out in theaters October 14th and video on demand that following Tuesday, October 18th. Thank you, Martin. The film is great. People are going to enjoy it. Thank you to our audience for tuning in. On behalf of Martin and myself, stay safe and stay walking. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.